Chairman Atkins, my number one priority on the Banking Committee is pursuing policies that will create real economic opportunity. And I want more of my constituents, quite frankly, not to live on the margins, but to be able to build wealth, generational wealth, for themselves and their families. And so I'm not afraid to say this. And I think it means access to capital, credit, and markets. And it also means robust investor protections. And so I want to briefly mention a few topics surrounding the development of market structure legislation, which I believe is really important to underserved communities. Young people are extremely interested in these technologies. I think about my daughter and all of her friends. And we need to protect both consumers and our financial system by regulating them. So I speak for so many of my colleagues in wanting to get to a really good bipartisan product that protects investors and the integrity of our markets. And part of this process, like others have noted, means getting a full slate of Democratic commissioners confirmed to the commission very quickly. There's no reason that this White House cannot nominate qualified individuals to the positions that safeguard our financial system. Now, you've spoken at length, Chair Atkins, about tokenization, the technology behind converting ownership of traditional financial assets, including securities, on a blockchain. And as this technology develops, it's going to be really important that we ensure the owners of tokenized securities have all the same rights and protections as owners of traditional securities. This is vital for protecting investors and the capital markets that make us the envy of the world. Now, Congress should play an important role here in providing guardrails and direction, and I'd be grateful for your continued cooperation. Do I, Chair, have your commitment in this regard?
Yes, Senator, thank you very much. But I think it goes without saying that under current law that tokenized securities are securities, and we'll treat them as such. And I've been, that's our firm position at the SEC. So, and I think our authority under that is clear, no matter how securities are recorded, whether they're like the old-fashioned paper certificates or book entry at DTCC, or whether they're traded on chain, as tokenized securities. So I'm happy to work with you and your colleagues to get you comfortable with that as you consider to work on market structure legislation, for example. But that's an important precept, and we will obviously, I think that's clear under current law.
Thank you so much. Another important issue is preserving state consumer and investor protection laws. And Maryland State Securities Regulator is at the front lines of protecting Maryland investors from fraud and misrepresentation. So, Chair Atkins, do you believe it's important to protect state consumer and investor protection laws that prohibit companies from lying to or misleading investors about their business dealings or their stock offerings?
As far as I know, generally, I don't know about the specific ones you're talking about, but generally, the Securities Acts were very careful not to preempt state laws with respect to blue sky or other sorts of consumer issues. So, offhand, I can't think of an exception offhand, but I think that's a strong precept of the federalism sort of approach that was taken.
Okay, thank you. Now, Maryland's one of the most entrepreneurial states in the country. We have about 112 small businesses for every 1,000 residents. And this puts us at the top tier nationally. We're home to world-class research institutions and more federal research labs than any other state, including NIH, FDA, and NASA. But innovation can't scale without capital. And Maryland now ranks 5th in the nation for venture capital investment, with roughly $1 billion raised last year. So how do we lower, in your opinion, Chair, barriers for emerging and first-time founders to access without compromising investor protections?
Well, that's a good issue, and I, really am intent on trying to find some solutions to help on that, because the small businesses are the engine of growth for jobs in this country, and have pretty much always been that way. So what we want to do by fostering the ability for capital to find its way to those entrepreneurs so that they can build their business. So part of it is, when I'm talking about making IPOs great again, to in the old days, back when I was a young lawyer in New York in the mid 80s, Microsoft and Apple and all the big companies like that tapped into the public markets to build their property, plant, and equipment, and come up with their R&D and then market their products and whatnot. Now it's become so complicated and costly that's out of reach for a lot of smaller companies to go that route, and so they stay with venture capital and private equity for could be decades. So anyway, so we're trying to make that by making it a friendlier type of environment for smaller companies to tap into the public market.